huge success.
Recording has started.
Yeah, see? Could everybody please take their seats?
Your voice is not enough.
Would you go to
Australian crocodile.
Thank you for coming back so quickly, everybody, for our final session of STEAM into Sydney. And welcome back to those who are watching us online. Just time for you too to go and have a cup of tea. And our final speaker today is Corinne Hill. And Corinne is the Director of Chattanooga Public Library in Tennessee and a member of the IFLA Public Library Standing Committee. And she has come to Australia a couple of times before, and a couple of times, once, yeah. And I've received a few Facebook messages today after she appeared on my Facebook feed last night saying, oh, say hello to her for me. So, yeah, it's lovely to welcome her back. And she's been doing some great things in Chattanooga, and she's going to talk to us today to bring everything together on the collision of high and low tech services at the Chattanooga Public Library. So please join with me in welcoming our final speaker, Corinne Hill.
Thank you, Jan. Okay, so I'm absolutely thrilled that there's more than 3 people in the room. I was convinced it was going to be Marion, Jan, and myself. I also am fully aware that I am the only thing standing between you and a nap or you and a cocktail on this Friday afternoon. So let's get this rolling and let's have a good time and let's move on. I love being here. I love Australia. I love the people. It's a fabulous, fabulous place, and I'm just so thrilled to be back. When I was here 2 years ago in 2014, I talked a lot about how we had started in Chattanooga a maker space on our 4th floor, which was just a hoarding storage area for the librarians. And one of the things that makes Chattanooga extremely special in this kind of a tech environment is that we are a gig city. And Gilong, I was just so thrilled. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Yay! To hear that you now have a gig. And it changes everything. It changes everything in your world. And so having that level of power put us in, I believe, I feel very obligated that we have a requirement to test what can happen with what you can do with a gig with the public. And I continue to feel that obligation. One of the things when we started, we had what is now like a basic toolkit, right? I'm supposed to start. Yeah. I'm not gonna click. That will make me crazy. So I'm trying something new. I am just gonna. What was it? F? What's the magic? Okay. Hold on. Arrow down. Is that what you said? Keyboard. Don't try this at home. Only for experts. Come on, baby.
We have Ross and Anne.
Hold on. So basically, I just have a loop. They're just pictures. I can keep talking while you get it going. Okay. So anyway, we started out with what have now become like just basic toolbox items like 3D printers, vinyl cutter, laser cutter, and that sort of thing. And now, it's like when you're stocking your new kitchen, right? Buy some knives and forks. It's become that basic. One of the things, like I said, we're continuing to experiment with what you can do with a gig. And one of the things that we've gotten very involved with is the software that we call Lola. And it's a low latency software. It's been used, we've been using it with music and it allows us to have performers in Chattanooga and performers in another city who can play music together. And because there's no lag, you know how when you talk on Skype and you get them and then they speak, you have none of that. It's like a millisecond of lag time with the music. So what the musicians tell us is that it really does feel like they're in the same room. It's only so interesting, you know, unless you're the musician who's involved. We've done this with Austin. We've done it with Austin, Texas. We've done it with Burlington, Vermont. And we also did it with the New World Symphony in Miami, Florida. And so, again, it's one of those things that we continue. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of staff time. But it's one of those things that it's our role as having that obligation to continue to experiment with what you can do with a gig. So that is one of the things that we continue to move towards. So since I was here in 2014, there's been things continue to evolve. We know that that's just our world. I've had staff turnover. I've tightened up governing issues that we've had. One of the things that I love to see my staff grow and develop and move on. Especially when they go on to better jobs and more responsibility, and that the growth and the things that they've learned in Chattanooga takes them to the next thing in their career. And I adore that. But I'm always looking for talent. Joy, is Joy still here? Always looking for talent, Joy. Just letting you know. All right, out there. And I'm looking for attitude. I'm looking for a different way to think. I am looking for somebody who fits into a creative dynamic that we have with the staff. My staff has really gotten pretty solid in the last couple of years. I'm really happy about that. Also, the other thing that's happened is when I came here in 2014, we were pretty much the only game in town when it came to a makerspace and a place for the community to innovate. And since that time, our mayor, Andy Burke, has created what is called an innovation district. And we are an anchor of that innovation district. It also includes our electric power board, who provide us with our internet access. And the city bought a building called the EDME that they have developed into a co-working space. And it was so funny because at the library, our makerspace and all of that stuff is on our 4th floor, and we call it the 4th floor. The EDME has all of that same stuff on floor 4. And what is it they say, that imitation is the greatest form of flattery? So we're very flattered. So anyway, so our role has changed because we're not the only game in town anymore. So what we've become is basically the place where people start to come in, and I'll talk about it a little bit later about how we give startups an opportunity to really test their business models before they move into a very, very formal environment like the EDNI, like a unified workspace. Also, the city history is Chattanooga is a former manufacturing town. Dalton, Georgia is about 20 minutes down the road. It's a big carpet manufacturing community. And just as I love Hollywood gossip, and the Oscars, the red carpet at the Oscars is made in Dalton. So quite proud. So anyway, so we have this really rich history of manufacturing and of textiles. And on top of that, back when I was here in 2014, was when STEAM was really kind of picking up steam, right? There was a lot of conversation about education and science and technology, and should you have art, and is it STEM, is it STEAM, blah, blah, blah. And it really got traction. So what that did was all of these things were changing. So it was time for me to sit down with my staff, and it was time for us to evaluate our programming and what that looked like. And not just on the 4th floor, but as a system, what kind of programming were we offering? And so what I did was I asked the staff to go back, create a chart, and evaluate every single program that we offer system-wide and identify whether or not it met any STEAM requirements. And also if it met Every Child Ready to Read requirements. Are you all familiar with ALA's Every Child Ready to Read program where every child is, when they start school, they're ready to learn and they're ready to learn to read. So they went off and they did that. And what we ended up doing from that process was to really clean up the programming, right? Got rid of a lot of stuff that was really, because, Nancy really liked, making butterflies. And so there was a big butterfly making program, but no one was really terribly interested in a butterfly program. So anyway, we did a lot of cleanup with our programming. And one of the things that came out of that discussion was what happens when we started looking at what the programming was. I just remember I sat back and I looked at my staff and I said, y'all have just legitimized crafting. You know that, right? That the stuff that you all have been doing for years, and certainly in the youth department, for years, now has a formal name for it other than crafting and cutting stuff out. And I had to smile because I thought, we just always seem to be libraries. We know what we're doing. We really do know what we're doing, right? And it was really nice. Now we have a title. It's legitimate, and it's not just the kids come and make a hat and go home. So anyway, one of the things that came from that was a conversation about what happens if we push together all of this high-tech stuff that we're doing, right? And then you take all of this crafting stuff that's going on, and we elevate that, and you bring them together and have them intersect. And what happens when they collide? What does that look like? Is it messy? Is it interesting? And actually, it's both, right? One of the things, my philosophy for programming that we do in our building, in all of our buildings, is that I do not want any child who's in our facilities to think that they are at school. I want them to learn through play. This needs to be a different experience for them than they get in a classroom. It needs to be a different experience than what they get at home. It needs to be really special. Okay, so anything that we do, regardless of how we intersected, it better be fun. The other thing that I thought was really cool about this as we started to develop it was that it gives you new partnership opportunities. We had been working with a lot of startups. We have a partnership with Mozilla Foundation. The tech companies. We had that level of partnership happening with the high tech. All of a sudden, when we got into textiles, it opened up new partnerships. And one of the very first ones that we did make was with Etsy.com up in New York. And I was at a conference with the Knight Foundation in Miami, Florida, and I met a woman from Etsy.com, and she was lamenting how they were having a lot of difficulty getting young people to engage in Etsy. And I was lamenting that we couldn't get Etsy to cooperate with us to get the kids on to their platform. So anyway, she came down, she visited, we worked together, actually connected her with one of my staff. And Megan has a really terrific relationship with Etsy. And believe it or not, Etsy has like local groups. So there's an Etsy Nougat group. And so they started meeting at the library. They started teaching the kids how to put your stuff up online. And then also what we started doing was showing them, they were doing workshops on how to take photographs when you put something online for sale. How do you market it? We had Etsy fairs where the kids could sell their things. And I learned a new term called craft ready. How's that? I said, Megan, what is that? What is craft? She goes, every child must be craft ready. And I'm like, okay, what? Just tell me. And she said, we're not teaching them how to do anything. They have to come with something that they make that they can sell. And we're going to teach them how to sell it, right? And sell it online. And I'm like, craft ready. Let me write that one down. That's a new one. So anyway, that's continuing. It's been a couple of years and it's continuing and it's doing really well and it's popular, not just with the youth, but with the adults as well. And then from that Etsy partnership, we ended up with a partnership with fashion designer Eileen Fisher from New York. Megan was up there, and who was it was talking like at the cocktail party? It was Gates, Deborah, right? So Megan was at a cocktail party who was having a conversation with somebody. She didn't know who it was, and it turns out they were with Eileen Fisher. And so they now send us their discards and their discontinued, what do you call it when the fabric is all, what are, the bolts. They just ship us bolts of material because we've started a sewing lab. Which has become quite successful, not just with young people, but with adults as well. If you're like myself, I have no idea. I cannot sew on a button. I'm the person who attaches it with a safety pin with a note for the dry cleaner that says, please put this back on my coat. So anyway, so we have a sewing lab, and now we have access to, really nice quality material that we don't have to pay for. We can make available to the public. And one of the other things that we've done too in that kind of sewing environment is that one of the staff needle pointed the instructions for how to use the photocopier. Right? So that's kind of, because I have a rule that you cannot like type something out and put it up on the wall and call it a sign. Let's watch Corinne's head explode. That's pretty much, what you're going to do. So anyway, so they needle pointed it, which I found quite charming. I also saw some pictures. We have a big zine program, and that's also, we're comboing that, where we're seeing people who are making zines using the vinyl cutter for some pages, and then also using the 3D printer to make a cover as they create a basic, very traditional type of magazines. We have a loom, a good old-fashioned loom, which scares me to death because I don't know how those things operate. But the Weaving Club has gotten wind of this, and so now they're holding their meetings in our facility, and they also want to teach classes to the public. So we're working on pulling that together. Virtual reality came up. We've been playing around with virtual reality for a while. This one we bought, I think it was called Google Paint, right? And so we were testing it and playing with it, and I got up there, and basically you walk in and you exist in the paint, in the work that you create, right? And so I'm in there and I'm doing this and trying to figure it all out. And we have a 4K television set so people can watch it as you're in there painting, right? And so I did everything like in one color and one line, and that was it. And this little boy, if he was 10, I'd be shocked, right? So he kind of wandered in with his mom, and we said, you want to try this? And I'm standing back at the 4K TV watching him do this, and he's got stars, and he's got rainbows, and he's these things flying around. I'm like, I did not see any stars. I saw nothing in here that this child who is 10 is doing. So this is obviously not my medium, but we're having a lot of fun exploring, and that's a big thing that Mozilla helps us with, keeping us in that kind of equipment. Let me see, what else have I got? Minecraft is really big. Can't get enough of that. And we continue to do coding. And I've heard somebody today also, maybe yesterday, mentioned David Lankus, who was at the University of Syracuse iSchool, but is now at the University of South Carolina iSchool. And I hope he will be dean there soon. That's my dream. But he called coding the new Latin, which I found really interesting. So that basically what we're doing is teaching the foundation of a language, so that you can continue and understand what happens as you move forward. At dinner last night, we had a brief conversation. I am quite cynical by nature, and it's part of my charm. And and one of the things, like I keep hearing in Chattanooga, because we're an old industrial town, right, that coding's the new blue-collar job. We need to get everybody trained in coding because it's not the factory job anymore. It's the new blue-collar work. And then I hear things like everybody being really excited about teaching girls to code. We want to teach our girls to code. And there's a part of me, and I was telling them at dinner last night, there's a part of me that's really afraid that we're creating a new secretarial pool for our girls moving forward. How do we make certain that, yes, they learn the Latin, they learn the code, but how do we keep them moving forward so they become the engineers? Because what I am seeing in a community that is very high tech, no one wants to do the coding. It's the contract job, it's low paying, It's not sexy. You don't get a whole lot of credit for it. Nobody, you're not in the suit at the cocktail party if you're the coder. And that's what we're seeing that's my experience with it. So I worry for our girls as we focus on this, that we don't let them move forward. And like I said, I'm cynical. My staff kind of looked at me and rolled my eyes when I brought it up and didn't want to engage in a debate with me. But I do. These are the kinds of things I worry about, because this is new territory for us, and I don't want to screw it up. Right? 15 years from now, I don't want to be sitting on a beach somewhere going, I helped contribute to this. I helped contribute to continuing low pay for women. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff I worry about. The other thing that we're doing a lot of pop-up programming, and that's in-house. We just basically have learning stations set up, and I'm working desperately to keep my staff on the floor and not in the back. Not in back of house. And we've created like a living room environment. So if you see a bunch of kids hovering around a particular station, you basically now have a program, and you need to go see if they want to be engaged, if they want to take it to another level, or if they want to be left alone. So we're doing a lot of this kind of learning station pop-up programming opportunities. And we're doing a lot of stuff with the kids on design thinking, public speaking, having them present, but also doing the same thing that we've all done, giving them the Post-it notes and here's the problem and think big, and taking them through the design thinking process. How am I doing on time? What time is it? 3:11. Okay. So the other thing that out in one of our branches, we do a program called Tech Goes Home, which is a formalized training program that our staff provides. Again, I want to say it's Mozilla, but it may be someone funding it. But the programs are all over town. Did I do that? No. Did I finish? Oh, let's just start it again, because it's pretty. I think it's pretty. Slideshow.
It's fine.
Oh, the magic number. Okay, and it'll roll. Okay, so anyway, so basically this is for adults. It's a program training for adults, and they come in and they learn the basics of computing. And at the end of the 5 weeks, they are able to purchase a Chrome laptop for $50. And the program are scattered throughout the city. That's happening in some churches. It's happening, in some different areas around the city. The library has been the most successful. We've only had one person who did not complete. Everyone who has signed up with the library has completed the program. So we're enjoying a lot of success with that. Some new stuff that we have going on, we are in the process of, we'll have a soft opening in April for a recording studio. So I loved hearing about the all-girl electronic. Are those guys still here or did they leave? They've gone? That was super cool, because that's exactly how we've been thinking about it. Like, everybody wants to be, I say everybody, but you talk to young kids and, they want to be a football player, they want to be a basketball star, or they want to be, a rapper, or, you want to be somebody famous. And, I wanted to be a ballerina, it didn't work out. Right. So anyway, we want to provide opportunities for young people to see what's possible if you have a passion for music or for video recording, that there are other ways for you to participate in that as a career choice beyond performance, and learning how to mix and how to edit and do those things. And one of the things I had told you I'd talk about was how we give startups an opportunity to kind of test their business model. And right now we're working with a group called Dynamo, and they're teachers, and they're still teaching, but they have developed curriculum for teaching the kids how to use this equipment, how to edit. They have audio 101, blah, blah, blah. So they're coming in, they're getting assistance from the same foundation who gave us assistance to And so they're getting assistance to develop the curriculum, and then we're providing them access to kids. They're coming in, providing that programming for free to really see if there is a viable business model for this. In other words, will parents pay them to teach their children how to do this? And so they're testing that component through the recording studio. The other thing that we like about that we want to do with the recording studio is then take it to another level where once if the kids write a song, they record a song, now how do you market it? So let's now take them into that maker environment where they can create a logo. They can screen print T-shirts that has their new logo on it. They can create stickers. They can do stuff with the vinyl cutting. So now we can help them market what it is they're creating in that studio. We also see that being a place for oral histories. We have a gentleman who will be podcasting regularly from there. He currently does a podcast from the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga, and it's all on IT. He brings in tech people and they chat. And so he's going to move his shop and his producer over into our environment. So we're super, super excited about the opportunity for this. And there is a rumor. So we spent most of our money on equipment. We really, really wanted the best equipment. And I have a pretty phenomenal maintenance team on staff. And so we decided that they would build the lab. They would build a lab, right, or the studio. And we would bring in integrationists to do the sound. And we hired a designer to design it. But the actual build would be done by maintenance. Big mistake. We're only like a year and a half behind. They have like real jobs, and we kind of dumped this on them. So we'll outsource it next time. But we were able to buy some phenomenal equipment. And there's a rumor, which I'm running with it, that the speakers that we bought they were bought used, but they were Michael Jackson's speakers in his home studio out in California. So I'm going with that. I like that one. The other thing that we have, somebody had said something about dads. April 1st, we're starting Daddy Boot Camp. Isn't there someone here from Edmonton? Somebody here from Edmonton? Or you still live in Edmonton? We totally stole this from Edmonton. Doing Daddy Boot Camp in the evenings and on Saturday mornings. And we have one of our news announcers who is a new dad, and he's agreed to be the face of it. So he's going to come with his little one, and we are creating programming that is geared towards children, little ones and their fathers. So I'm really excited to see where that's going to go. The other thing that I'm really excited about, and for those of us who were in Philadelphia for the satellite conference last summer for IFLA, I am completely enamored of the Free Library of Philadelphia's Learning Kitchen, and just covet it like you would not believe.
Someone's joined us online, and I haven't muted. Okay.
No, look, there they are. There.
Oh no, that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh God, where was I? Oh, okay. So I'm coveting Siobhan's commercial kitchen, right? Which I don't have money for. I mean, I'm trying to get money for it, but it's just fabulous. But the concepts, I can still do the concept. And we did some introductory type programming last summer during summer learning, and basically bought a griddle, right? At Costco, and they taught the kids one of the things they did was they taught the kids how to make grilled cheese sandwiches in the afternoon. So here's what we found stunning was that not only had none of the children ever made a grilled cheese sandwich, they did not know you had to butter the bread in order for it to brown. No skills whatsoever when it comes to food preparation. So we thought, and they loved it. I mean, I'm right on my main library is right on the border of the projects, and where a lot of our kids walk over and they're hungry. So they also got not only to make it, but to eat it. So anyway, I'm running around town begging people for money to actually build a real kitchen. But in the meantime, we came across a thing called the Charlie Cart, which is being used in San Francisco. And it's a portable, completely all encased kitchen that's mobile. And we were stunned when we unboxed this thing at the quality of it. We were like, holy moly, this is like really nice. You know how we just, sometimes you're not always quite sure. Beautiful, beautiful. We cannot wait to start food literacy programs. And one of the things that we want to do, what we've learned in our research of food literacy, is that it's less and less. It used to be everybody talked about not having access to food, right? They didn't have, they didn't really have the grocery stores, neighborhoods, food deserts and all of that. And in the research that we've done, what we've discovered is that even if you plop a grocery store in a community, giving somebody access to Swiss chard and kale, and they don't know what to do with it, it's not terribly helpful. And just like the kids didn't know you had to butter the bread in order for it to be brown, how to cook healthy foods, that they don't. I mean, it's quite intimidating. I mean, how many people know the difference between chop and dice? Handling a knife. How long something has to boil? How do you fry something? How do you create a healthy meal? And the other thing that's a problem is how do you do it quickly? Because part of the research I read is that more and more people, the people who are eating out is pretty much leveled off since the mid-90s, and more people eat at home, but they don't cook at home. So you're getting the roasted chicken at the grocery store, you're getting stuff that's already been pre-processed. So it's that kind of cooking, pseudo cooking that's going on. So because people don't have time. So what we want to do is create programs with this trolley cart, not just work with the kids to teach them, here's how you can cook. We have a partnership now with a local grocery store called Food City, and they are providing us food for 85 programs in the next year. Also access to the nutritionists who will do programming for us and will help us develop curriculum, and also access to their executive chef who will come and do programming as well. The beauty of it is, like I told you, it's mobile, so we can take it on the road. We are always part of the Maker Faire in Chattanooga, and last year we did soldering. Is that right? We did soldering. Staff hated it. They said, oh, I spent all day soldering. Don't ever want to do that again. This year, we're taking the Charlie Cart. The Charlie Cart food prep is going to be part of the Maker Faire. So we're kind of moving into a food literacy environment, which I'm really, really excited about, because I have about a 24% poverty level in people. 24% of the citizens of Chattanooga live below poverty. That's a lot. Philadelphia is 28, and Philadelphia is one of the worst cities in the U.S. So we're holding our own and being the best, right? We're number one. We're going to get there. So anyways, I'm super excited about the opportunities for the Charlie Cart. And I really think I'm having more and more conversations with local foundations in town. One of the things that's really changed about my job is I've brought on new staff, and we've leveled out governance and really stabilized our environment. Is that I get to do more. I'm out in the field more, and I'm out in the community more. I go to every opening you can imagine. Art galleries, restaurants, bars, the Chamber of Commerce. I am at every ribbon cutting you can imagine. I've made terrific friends, and I get an opportunity to talk constantly with people, like, how am I going to get this money for this kitchen, and how am I going to do this, and how are we going to break it up, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm really hoping that with the Charlie Cart, again, it becomes another example of look at what at what we can do. And Food City has a foundation which can do more than what they're doing for us right now, and so there's some hope there as well. But I'm like a dog with a bone. Once I wrap my head around something that I think we really need, there's no giving up. So hopefully I'll be back like in 2 years talking about our kitchen. But I'm super excited about that. As I look to the future, I told you like I'm a worrier, and I'm always fussing about everything. But a couple of things that I see as future challenges for libraries as we move forward. I think voice recognition technology is really going to play a significant role. Oh, I have 5 minutes left. Okay, significant role. I'm wrapping it up. Significant role from voice activated instructions. I think that's going to be a big deal. I'm absolutely positively fed up to my eyeballs with our ILS systems and what they don't do. And they're it's just a bunch of money that I throw into a pit every year, and no one freaking uses them. Right? I mean, who looks for information? Oh, let me go to the library catalog. I don't even do that. I go to Amazon when I'm looking for something to read, and I'm friggin' in the business, right? So we're working with a company called Koyos, trying to figure out how we can get, if you're looking for something, whether it's how to learn Spanish or I want to read Girl on a Train, that it pops up, that we move up the Google search that says this is available at your public library. I just want out of this ILS business. And I think that's going to be a challenge for us moving forward. I think what I've seen here in the last day and a half, I think you guys are amazing. The work you're doing is phenomenal. You have money. I'm so jealous. Your spaces are beautiful. I have a 1976 building. It looks like my parents' basement. Okay, my spaces look really rough. They look like factory spaces. We're doing the best we can, so I'm super jealous of what you're able to do because you have funding. Remember to stay true to who you are. Stay true to your mission. Our mission hasn't changed. It's never changed. It's why we sustain ourselves. How we deliver on our mission is what's changing. That's how we pivot. This is how we survive. It's how we sustain ourselves. And every single person in this room is pivoted. And it's brilliant. And it's brilliant to see. And it's so much fun. And we're just going to keep moving forward and go get them. We're done, unless you got questions.
Questions are the best part. All the way back. Yell. It's too hard to go moving around.
If you're trolley hot, did your staff actually have to go do some training in food handling and food safety?
They are on their way. Good heavens, they're going to Savannah, Charleston, South Carolina, for 2 days of training with the people who have the Charlie cart, and they will be provided with, whatever kind of training, and we'll see when they come back what the next steps are. But I have no problem with that kind of, we already have a coffee shop. So we deal with the health department, and I have a person on staff who's actually been trained to serve alcohol, and she's licensed because, you don't want to have to go out and look for that and pay extra. So what you got there?
It sounds like you've just got, you're throwing absolutely everything at the wall, which is great. I want to hear more about how you review what's working and what doesn't, and what's the process of weeding out the programs that maybe aren't successful.
So the stuff I talked about is the stuff that's really working, and that we're really rocking and rolling along. It becomes really obvious really quickly. Is Daniel still here? And I like what you said, how, I'm a big fail fast, fail cheap. But you're right. There's some things that you have to tweak them, and you can't just throw them out because it didn't work the first time or the second time. But I really believe, and Daniel, see if you agree with me, I think it becomes really obvious really quickly when you've gone off on a path that's going nowhere. Would you agree with that?
You feel it. You just go, oh, That's not gonna. That's not.
Right. Like that was like what was how stupid was I? What was I? I hadn't slept that night. Yeah, you can feel it. I mean, it's one of those things. And then I have team leader meetings every week, and we discuss what's going on and what's working and what isn't. And if we want to do something different, it comes to that table for discussion to see if that's something everybody wants to play with. And so some of this is just instinct. And it's also really obvious when no one comes. Because I'm here to tell you, one more person tells me, oh, they didn't come because it was raining. No. They didn't come because we didn't market it. No. If you had something that was really interesting, that people were interested in, they will be there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm interested in the structural review system behind it.
Oh,
Is it official or?
well, it's official at our meeting levels, like at that team meeting. I have real problems with structure.
What's the prize?
And I have an amazing executive team who they love the structure, and so they're like, Corinne, you can't do that. Sure, I can. No, Corinne, you really, really can't. And it's gotten me into trouble. But so it's a little bit loosey-goosey, but we really do make the decisions as a team. I have a staff in place now that I really, really trust. And so if you're doing whatever program it is and you think it's amazing, I have given my staff a programming budget, a pretty significant programming budget, because as far as I'm concerned, programming is my bread and butter. My circulation continues to rise. My programming is out the window. And I'm going to pay for that. And I'm not expecting my staff to do it on dimes and borrow and beg for construction paper. So they have the funding that they know we're not going to do this anymore. They don't have to discuss that with me. They can develop that programming. But also, as we're building things, there's more conversation. Like when they bought the Google Paint, that was a team leader discussion. It was like $800. Everybody went ooh and on. It was like, yeah, we got it. Okay, next. So that helps. But yeah, I have issues with structure. But I'm working on it. I'm trying to adult. I'm trying to be an adult.
Agile.
Where are you? Oh, I tried that. The auditor didn't agree. He just kind of smiled and went, Thank you, Corinne. But no, I did. It was like I pivoted. Or I'm being agile. Yeah. What else? Who else have we got? This is the fun part for me. Yeah. What's up?
Where does the majority of your funding actually come from? Like, are you? I know a lot of American libraries have to fundraise for themselves. Do you get government funding?
I do. I get about $5.8 million from the city of Chattanooga. I'm governed by a board. My board approved. The city gives the money to the library. The board formally accepts it. I deliver an operating budget for the next year, which the board approves. So the city is not up in my business, right? The board is. But at the same time, my employees are, and I am a city employee. So it gets real interesting really fast. But we get about another $300,000 from endowments, and I'm constantly begging for money. In fact, we just hired a consultant or a contractor to help us write grants. And the kitchen is one of the programs that we're going after, and then I'm trying to bring my local history into the late 20th century. I don't even have any illusions that we'll get to the 21st anytime soon. So we're looking for funding in that regard. So, but I'm outsourcing that. So, I'll ask anybody for money. It's kind of, my mother would be, I'm Canadian. We don't do that. Like, that's really, that's vulgar, right? So, yeah, my mom's, not real proud. What you got before we call it? We're going to wrap this up, go have a drink, go shop, take a nap. Are you done?
Yeah.
Finished? There you go, guys. I love
Thank you.
And I don't have to tell my board I got paid.
That's what we did think of. Because those of us
So
who,
clever.
those of us who work in local government know.
There's trouble.
Huh?
It's nothing but trouble.
It is nothing but trouble.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a
Thanks
great
for
way to
having me.
finish. So that brings us almost to the end of day 2. Goodbye, Newcastle. Almost to the end of STEAM into Sydney. And what a ride it's been. We've had so many wonderful speakers over 2 days, and we've been looking forward to it for so long. And right from the outset, when we announced our program, we had real interest from people. And the fact that we sold out so quickly demonstrates, I think, the interest in the topic and how relevant it has been. And today we've had a really interesting range of speakers. Marcus set the scene for us about Indigenous knowledge, and I think for many Australians in the room made us think really seriously about what we know, what our perceptions are. And based on that, Matt then walked us through how community consultation and interpretation of those resources can lead to discovery and engagement. Suzanne spoke very passionately before she started her presentation about her Fab Lab, about investing in your future. Now, she particularly talked about investing in your future by being a member of IFLA. And those of us who are involved in IFLA obviously feel the same way that she does, because we give up our time and we spend a lot of money, like Suzanne, to be involved. And you have all been part of that bigger IFLA experience here today, and I would encourage you to continue your engagement with IFLA. I'll get to that a bit more in a minute. But whenever Suzanne goes anywhere, and you'd know this if you're a friend of hers on Facebook, she manages to visit a library, because we see photos of Suzanne, at different places around the world, and she's always in the library. And she really demonstrates that she goes and she learns from other people's experiences. And she's done that in how she's created her Fab Lab. Then we had Chantal describing the engagement of young people in developing her Media Lab partnership. And she also addressed the concept of what public libraries are, when you're asked that question, why should public libraries be involved in the makerspace? She had the answer to that, about our role in that. I should also say that I had an email from Chantal just after she got to Australia to say that she had left her special dress that she was going to wear today to the last minute to pack so it didn't get crushed, and she left it behind. I know, in Canada, so it's still in Canada waiting, and she had to go shopping in Australia to buy a dress for today. So look at one for Australian retail, and thank you for coming all this way. And then Lode talked about her makerspace that adds a very practical value to her community in giving her community skills that will lead towards employment in the industry that's in her town, but at the same time bringing arts into STEAM, so the A into STEAM. And we have talked about whether it should be a capital A or a small A. And in the lead up to this 2-day program, we had a number of emails from some very passionate people in Australia about once we mistakenly put a small A in something we sent out in an earlier list. Oh, Lord. Because I used my special local government technique in replying and saying, thank you, your comments have been noted. Joy from City of Canada Bay, that great new concept for a public library, embedding the library into a wider community facility and taking the best of traditional library services to create something new, but also recognising that, the skills of library to offer a digital product, and she encourages us to try something different. Christian and Julia, their project to empower young women from called communities, really shows us how we can adapt those concepts into our own libraries. Daniel, what a great job. And the take home from him is work with what you've got. Give people a legacy and build genuine capacity rather than go in with all the bells and whistles. And then, people are feeling really delighted at the time, but then they go away and you take that skill with you. And I'll certainly be looking at the chocolate aisle in Woolies tonight with a whole new look. Catherine, real example of collaboration with the community and community engagement in developing the wonderful new digital hub at Geelong. And Corinne brought it all together in her presentation of what's happening together, what's happening in Chattanooga. But she, in talking about what she was doing, she managed to bring together many of the topics that we've listened to over the last few days. So it's been a great program. Thank you to all of our speakers, to our visitors, to our sponsors, again to the State Library, who I can't thank enough, to Marion. It's been a lot of fun, and thank you all for coming. And if you aren't already a friend of the IFLA Public Library section on Facebook, I want you to make that your mission when you go home, to follow us and to also contribute to what we do, to go and like our blog as well and follow what we do there. And if you've got a bit of time in August and a bit of money, join us in Bergen for our satellite, and then come to Wrocław in Poland, where we've got a very strong program at the World Library and Information Congress. You certainly need to be a member of your state association. If you're an Australian, you need to be a member of ALIA, but you also think about becoming a member of IFLA as well. Thank you.
And just on a finishing note, this is a real collaboration. So Ms. Richards here, the little part of the Brains Trust of the organisation, the wonderful social events. Truly, Jan has put a lot of work into this. So, hurrah! Thank you. Jos is from the Netherlands.
Yes, and we came along for 2 days here in Sydney. You're not only librarians, you're also teachers. You teach us a lot about how libraries can do their work nowadays and in the future. And when I was a kid, we had a teacher and they had do you call it a blackboard?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, great. Have you seen the picture of the standing committee when there is a meeting? What's on the table on?
Sweets.
You must go to our
Sweets.
I wasn't there at the meeting. So, what do you teachers use when they have a blackboard?
Oh, we could throw them
How is it called? From the Netherlands. And thank you, Marianne. It was great being here.
This really chalk. It looks like chalk. Is it chocolate or?
Sorry,